if you want to go, like, you don't need to have a good reason to leave. And it almost felt like Abigail and Noah were like waiting to see if there was going to be a good reason to leave. And it's like, y'all are both nice people, you're not gonna like have this big blow up thing.
We are here to find love. We're recapping Bachelor in Paradise, Season 7, Episode 10. So even though this was a 3-hour extravaganza, we just felt like with some of the couples that we were seeing, we wanted to mainly deep dive into the 2 major plot lines that were showing up in this episode, with Ivan, Chelsea, and Aaron, and then Abigail and Noah's prom breakup at the end. So let's hop right in it. With Ivan in particular, he did commit like a pretty egregious sin. I know a lot of people were like, yeah, he really didn't do anything. He just like went into the hotel room and started seeing Alexa. But in the Bachelor world, there's something that people don't really address, which is the fact that like there is a game that you're playing, and it's predicated on like, I believe, like pleasing the producers, doing everything on camera, and being super open to the process of falling in love, and then spilling your guts out on TV, right? So and out of all of that, you can get fame, sponsorships, money, podcasts, and an opportunity to be in the Bachelor world and have a good edit. So Ivan played into that when he was on Tayshia's season. He was such a fan favorite because he was able to like show off his brother, talk about his family struggles, talk about like Black Lives Matters on TV, like all super important stuff. So for him to be unable to take accountability and own that he wanted to talk to Chelsea because of the rose, not attractive. For him to like tell Aaron, Chelsea pulled me, total lie, especially knowing that he had just met Alexa the night before and they had hooked up. I'm assuming they had sex. So like he knew that she was going to come on the beach. He knew that she was going to be like a rose that he could get and they would have a connection to build, and the kind of storyline that would be presented. I feel like he was very much on the same par as Brandon. Not totally, because he did take accountability, but like they also caught him in the act. Like Wells sat him down and was like, you might as well just tell us everything because we already know. So that was the only reason why he like admitted his faults. And I believe he wouldn't have mentioned anything because he was so like his good guy persona, he was leaning on that so hard. Like when everyone saw Wells pull Ivan, they were like, we don't know what that could be. Like, what was the reason? He's such a good guy. Like, I don't see any of this happening. Like, Ivan was really leaning on that because he knew that it had this, like, it was so fortified, this appearance of who he was, that people wouldn't assume that of him, and he could get away with it. And if the producer did leave the phone out for him to find, like, true character is acting exactly like who you are when no one's looking. Ivan showing that he could twist the worlds just because he felt lonely, because he wanted to game the system, because he wanted to guarantee a rose a few days later, shows a lot more about Ivan than about like how he was then making it about like love afterwards. And he was like, I just want so desperately to fall in love. I just have such a problem with that, because even the way that he was talking about love is in such a creepy way where it's like love conquers all, and if you hurt people along the way, if you have to lie, if you have to break some rules, that's fine because you're doing it for love.
I don't actually care that he broke the rules. I think whatever. I think it's probably he probably in their contracts, I'm pretty sure they're not allowed to interact with each other off camera. I think all their interactions have to be on camera. And so I think contractual, in terms of their like little Bachelor contracts that they signed to get on the show, I'm pretty sure they're not allowed to do that. So there might have been a contractual breach by doing what he did. But I don't actually care that, like, I don't care about the narrative of the show. That's fine. Like, that to me doesn't even bother me at all. I think the thing that really bothered me is that he hurt Chelsea and he hurt Aaron. Like, he was very, like, he was just so mean, honestly, to both of them. He, like, was very willing to, like you said, take Chelsea's rose so that he can go pursue somebody else and prevent her from being able to continue her connection with someone she actually liked, which was Aaron. So he was, like, very willing to essentially foil her experience and like ruin her experience in Paradise so that he could maybe get his love story with somebody else. He was so willing to like use her as a pawn in the story. That sucked. And then along the way, he just threw Aaron under the mud. Like, his whole altercation with Aaron was so uncalled for. You could really see that he was the one escalating the situation. Aaron was angry, but it was Ivan who was the one who was like, what are you gonna do about it? Like getting in a fit. I'm like, what
when he was saying,
no.
why is your lip quivering? I died. I was laughing so hard.
I'm not Aaron. Ivan, can you chill the fuck out? Like, what the hell? Like, aggression, violence, like, what are we, in the, like, 50s? Like, what the hell? Like, come on, man. Like, that is so unattractive, seeing guys, like, puffing their chests at each other, unless they're gonna make out. But, like, other than, if they're not making out, I don't want to see it. Like, what the hell is this? Like, I just was like, and then the way Aaron was like, can we have a conversation about it? He was like, don't talk, just walk away, bro. Just walk away. And it's like,
you're gonna look stupid. That's what he kept saying.
He kept, like, just trying, it was passive aggressive, right? He was trying to make Aaron look stupid by saying, you're gonna look stupid, man. I'm looking out for you, right? He was like saying that, and I'm like, dude, that is gross for you to treat someone like that, especially when we know that he was lying the whole time, right? We know that he was, like, telling a big lie. So for him to just be so mean, dismissive, demeaning, and just, like, I don't know, just, like, so willing to, like, get everyone to gang up on Aaron the way that he did. Like, his
that was
willingness
the worst.
to do that, I was just like, that's ugly, man. That is ugly behavior.
He gaslighted. He told everyone on the beach, Chelsea pulled me, because that lets him escape culpability of any kind. Like, well, she pulled me. I wasn't interested in her, but then she said she was interested in me, so, like, that's why I started making out with her. But everyone didn't know that Ivan was just kind of working out this game plan of, like, okay, like, if I get this rose from Chelsea, I can get the rose from Alexa as soon as she gets on the beach. There's all of this gameplay tied into it. I loved that Riley was able to call him out at the very end. Like, that's what real friendships look like. Like, it's not just unconditional support. If someone's doing something wrong, you have to call them out. And, like, Riley called him out. He said he was disappointed. And it seems like they had a conversation about it before. Like, not...
Yeah, I was curious about
not that exact, right? Like, it wasn't that exact situation, but he was like, I told him not to do it. I told him that he should have done things straight. I told him that we had to be better than that. So, like, it seems like this was something that Ivan may have been, like, speaking about with his homies. I don't know what the whole situation was, but, like, that's the energy I like to see. And it's, like, one more thing about Ivan. I know I'm piling on him, but I just hated how he also, like, wouldn't call out Brandon when Natasha was
Natasha,
like, you know, he's
Ivan.
game playing me. Yeah, Ivan was like, I don't know what to tell you. It's like, call him out.
I did really appreciate that in the end when Ivan came forward and told the truth. I really appreciated him being like, hey man, like I am disappointed in you. Like, you gotta be better. You're a better man than that. Like, don't behave that way. And, like, I love that. That is what accountability looks like. And, like, I love what you said, Julie, that, you know, friendship is not unconditional support. No, friendship is pushing each other to be better, right? Pushing each other to, you know, grow, to learn from our mistakes, and to treat other people well. That is what friendship looks like. And I love to see it from Riley. Hopefully, you know, all of Ivan's, like, followers and supporters and friends continue to push him for accountability and for him to just do better, because that's the thing. It's like, we've said this before, this shit, like, dating sucks because people treat each other like this. They just lie to each other's faces, and they just, you know, are just so shitty and careless with each other's emotions. And if we would just take care of each other, dating wouldn't have to be so hard. If we would just, like, look out for each other and make sure that everyone's okay, even if you don't want to date them. You don't have to want to date Chelsea to treat her like a human being. You know, you don't want to have to date whoever, right? You know, you can treat people well, even though you don't want to date them. And so I really appreciated Riley coming through and being like, hey, like, clean up, man. You got to do better. And that's what we want to see. We need the accountability. We need the accountability.
We need the accountability. We just need people to call it like it is. Being like, hey, you're better than that. And just really holding them to a standard that the other person will want to be held to. So that was great on TV. I mean, it was, I didn't, like, once again, popularity really showed on The Bachelor. I hate the bullying that's happening. I kind of like his personality. It's very specific, it's very strong, but it's very direct. Like, he is an ABC kind of guy. Yeah, he's not like, he just is all in on one person. He says what he says, he means what he says. There's so much to him that just feels very like primary, just not a lot of like murkiness you need to sift through. So I appreciated that, like, Aaron did get vindicated in some way, but that did hurt him a lot, and I could see when he was talking to Chelsea that his eyes were getting teary, because it's not fun for you to know your version of reality and then for the other person to lie, gaslight, and tell your feelings are wrong, and like, by the way, your girl pulled me, that's why I was making out with her. It's just the audacity of Ivan. Just, I know, so upset with him.
I hated that so much. I really hope that he apologizes for his behavior. It doesn't look like it from what I've seen on social media so far, but here's hoping that he doesn't just go on the defensive. That's what it looks like he's gonna do. He's like, oh, there's an explanation, like, if you knew, like, then you would understand. It's like, oh,
your Ivan voice is so good.
We saw, that's the thing, it's like, we saw the words come out of your mouth. Like, people keep saying this, that like, oh, well, if you knew the full, like Brendan was saying this too, like, oh, well, if you knew the full situation. It's like, bro, the words came out of your mouth. We saw them come out of your mouth. And so, you know, what are you gonna do? Like, you can't just say that, like, oh, there's more to this story. It's like, I don't know. Part of me, like, watching these types of altercations, like, they freak me out, because it's kind of like someone that you like really like, who could be like your friend. I mean, this is what Riley was saying. He was like, that was my boy, like, I defended him, I stuck my neck out for him. To then see them completely just like show this capacity for such wanton cruelty, it's like, oh my god. Like, as it turns out, like, people who are really close to me can just fucking lie to my face. And, like, I just wouldn't, like, people wouldn't have even known if Wells didn't tell Ivan to tell everyone. So it's just, like, recognizing that people can just fucking lie to you. They can just lie to your face. It's scary. And so my main feeling coming out of that segment was just like, oh, right, like, you can't trust no bitches.
It's true. And it's, like, you have to, I kept seeing this, like, meme come up that was, like, if you're like a hero, you live long enough to see yourself become a villain. And that's very much speaking to like humanity, right? There's good and bad in all of us. There's like an angel, a devil, whatever. With Ivan, we got to see more sides of his personality. So it is showing him to be a really multifaceted person. What I just find to be exceptionally disappointing is the fact that it showed him to be a person that was willing to lie, bully, throw people under the bus, and kind of self-serve himself at all costs. Yeah, like, that was just the most disappointing thing about the whole thing. Like, breaking into a room, whatever. Who hasn't done that in high school on a field trip? Whatever, fine.
Know,
but like, lying about it. I would do it too. But, like, come on.
I don't know who Alexa is, but whatever. Totally, whatever. I'd sneak out past
No one's going to know who she is.
Whatever.
Because of Ivan. Like, she didn't get to go on the show. So,
man, you're right. That's the thing. It's like, we all have good and bad in us, and, like, the big thing is, like, can you identify your own demons, your own shadow side, and work to do better, to rise above, to heal those parts of yourself so that you have more good than bad in you, right? Like, you know, so you can treat the people around you with love and care, right? You are trying to find those bad parts of yourself and, like, work to do better. And you know, it only happens if you have accountability, right? It only happens if you are willing to say, like, that was wrong, I don't want to do that again. And that's what we'll hope to see from Ivan, from Brendan, from all of these people who've just been fucking up on this show. Like, just say that you fucked up and just try not to do it again. That's that. Let's move on from that mess and let's get into our next mess, which is Abigail and Noah.
Yeah, let's do it.
Oh my gosh. Abigail and Noah. Julie, I know you have so many good thoughts on these two. Why don't you kick us off?
These conversations are super important to have because it's pointing at something that is a lot deeper, and you do have to roll up your sleeves and go down into that muck, which is really terrifying. But if you don't sit with it, it's going to like surface like in those really quiet moments, like when you're sleeping, when you're looking at them and they're like focused on doing something. It's just you're gonna feel this gut instinct like maybe something isn't right. And Noah alluded to that with him having a lot of sleepless nights of like, I don't know if she's my person. It's really multifaceted for him, because it's not like just him grappling with the fact that Abigail, while it's a wonderful relationship, it's not his person, but it's also feelings of guilt that he might be hurting her and like thinking about what she deserves, what he deserves, and he's doing this all by himself. Like he is not processing it with her. And
that's
it
the
just
problem. Yeah.
It shows like this other thing where it's like you can't talk about things that are important, and that's like the number one thing you need in a relationship. You need to be able to feel super safe being open and vulnerable with each other. Like I always see red flags in couples that are like, like we never get into fights. It's like, how is that possible? Conflict is so necessary. It's so healthy. Like we said in our last video, it's all about building a bridge to connect with each other and like see where your perspectives are aligning and where they're not aligning, and to negotiate that. So for them not to like have had any conflict was alarming. And then for them to be named the couple most likely to leave paradise, it made a lot of sense because they just weren't challenged. Like they've just been a day one couple, which is the longevity. They've just been cruising. There's been no exes. There's been no like people coming down the beach and taking one of them away. So they just got to kind of just chill out. And now that it's the end, they're like, now we're forced to have the conversation. Now I have to hurt you. Now I have to do it on prom night. Which is painful. Like when I saw her crying, I was like, oh my god, I'm sad. I'm so sad.
Kind of actually reminds me of Marissa last week when she was like, oh, like I'm feeling like unhappy in some way in this relationship, but I don't want to have that conversation because I don't want to ruin what we have, because you know our relationship is so good, and like I don't want to ruin it by having the conversation. Like I wonder if that was like a similar idea that was kind of going through both Noah and Abigail's brains of like, oh, I don't want to ruin this by like bringing up like my doubts. I don't want to ruin this by bringing up like my real feelings. And it's like, no, it's like the thing that's ruining it is you not being able to be honest with your partner. Like that's the thing that's gonna ruin, or you know, whatever, like mess with your relationship, is if you can't actually tell each other how you feel. And you know, the fact that both of them, it sounds like Noah has been having doubts for a while. We know Abigail has been having doubts for a while. We've seen her clips of her throughout the last several episodes of her being like, I don't know, like we're not like lovey-dovey like other couples. We're like, oh, I don't know, like feels like we're just cruising, or like, oh, what, like we've seen her showing doubts throughout, and it's like she's always talking to other people. She's talking to the camera, she's talking to Wells, she's talking to the girls. It's like, are you saying this to Noah? Like, why are you saying it to everyone except for your partner? It's like, that to me is like one of the biggest like red flags in a relationship. Is like if someone is having problems, and you know, of course, as a coach, right, you know, people always come to me with their relationship problems. The whole reason they're reaching out to me, the whole reason they're working with me is because they have a challenge. But I always ask, like, they'll share something with me and I'll say like, did you tell your partner? And they, you know, if they say no, it's like, anything that you're able to say to me, you should be able to say to your partner, right? Like anything that you're able to say to your girlfriend, or anything that you're able to say to Wells, you know, you should be able.
Your bartender,
right? You should be able to say to your partner, and you know, that's the thing. I think that with Abigail and Noah, it felt like they just weren't really being honest with each other, or communicative with each other, or honestly, like I even think that on some level too, part of it was that they weren't being emotionally honest with themselves. I almost wonder if they, like when I was watching that episode, of watching the way they were talking, the way their emotions were like, or their like trains of thoughts were so disparate. It was like, Noah was like, oh, I'm falling in love with you, and then the next day he was like, well, if she's not falling in love with me, then I guess I need to break up with her. Or then it was like, well, I think actually she's going to tell me tonight that she's falling in love with me, but if she had said it yesterday, that would have been great, but she didn't say it yesterday, and so now I have to break up with her. It's like, what are these, like, these thoughts are not really actually making sense, right? And Abigail as well, right? The entire time Abigail has been saying that she's been, like, not sure about the relationship, not sure about Noah, and then, like, when he says, I'm falling in love with you, she like kind of freezes up, doesn't say anything. And then the next day she's like, oh yeah, like I am falling in love with him. It's like, like there's like kind of like these like mixed emotions for both of them, which to me, that lack of kind of emotional consistency speaks to a lack of emotional like clarity, right? I don't think that they have.
That's a line. That's a good line. Yeah.
Yeah. It feels like there's like almost like a lack of themselves really knowing how they feel about the situation. Like, I have felt from the beginning, and I know we've talked about this in previous videos, but I felt like from the beginning I couldn't really get the sense that Abigail really liked Noah in that way. And that's the thing, like I think that they both like each other. I think they both like each other in the sense that like Noah's cool, Abigail's cool, they're both cute, they're both attractive, they probably have fun together, they seem to have like a good like energy, they probably enjoy each other's company. Like I think that they actually do like each other as people, but I don't know if that has been romantic, right? I don't know. And that they even said that they're like, are we just really like best friends and like not actual, they've said that on the show, that this was like a thing that they've been wondering about, like are we just prolonging the inevitable, you know, trying to make the feelings happen. And it's like I've kind of long felt that from Abigail, and it sounds like now Noah is saying that he's kind of been feeling that way as well. And so it's almost like there has been this reluctance to like really face their true feelings around the relationship, and that reluctance to face their true feelings, it's not that those feelings like will go away if you don't face them, like they're gonna manifest. And for Noah, they manifested as soon as he was like, okay, Abigail's not even coming through, I'm gonna just like I'm just gonna end it. Like all of a sudden, like it all came out, and he was like, I've been feeling this way the whole time, I wasn't even sure about you the whole time, you're not my person. Like it all just came out. And it's like, you know, it's always been there, it's been there the whole time, you just like had been kind of pushing it away, right? And so yeah, that was my kind of feeling around them, this lack of emotional just like honesty, not only with each other but with themselves. That was the main thing that I felt about them watching that breakup unfold.
Oof, the breakup was even really tough to watch. I just had a flashback to middle school, like dances, and you know, like crying in the bathroom, or like wanting a boy to dance with you and feeling rejected, or like your friends in the crush. We've all been there. It's the worst, and I like even you speaking to that about how Noah was like the next day after he said I love you, he started to feel, oh my gosh, I don't know if I do feel connected to her, and then for Abigail to think, I think I'm falling in love with Noah, and I'm gonna tell him I'm gonna tell him on prom night, I'm gonna tell him this night. Them not being able to read that from each other is also like a pause for concern. It's like, how can you not tell if someone is like really connecting with you emotionally and intimately, and how the other person is pulling away? It shows me, in my belief, that like their relationship was more image-based, perception-based, more like superficial on the level of like, I'm interacting with you based on how you're interacting with me, but I actually can't read your inner world. Like, I have no idea of how you really navigate certain things, because if you don't tell me, I don't know. So, like, you're right. Like, as soon as it feels great to tell the truth, and Noah was tapping into that, but then he was a little bit vicious about it when he was like, I just don't think you're my person. He kept repeating that, which was just a stab in the heart. And then Abigail was like, you don't have to like
keep
say that. Yeah, and she was saying too, like, well, I didn't do anything, it's not like this is my fault. And it's like, well, it takes two people to have a relationship breakdown. I just wish relationships had more accountability on both sides, and for Abigail to be like, I did nothing, I've been nothing but good to you. It's like, well, you also didn't really show him your emotions. You kind of talked to your friends about it more than Noah. When he told you I loved you, it's a very big moment, so I get people freezing up, but then for her not to be able to give any reassurance until like the next day after Noah had all of this processing, it's kind of like, when were the conversations in play? Like, why are you only doing it in these like gestury, big, grand moment things? Why can't you just do it like on a day bed on the beach? It's not sexy, but it's real.
You saw her in an interview like prior to the prom. She was like, oh my gosh, Noah, I just realized like Noah did say he was falling in love with me last night, or like someone pointed it out to me or something. Like she was like, so she like already realized it, but like she was like, I'm gonna wait to have this conversation with him. It's like, oh my god, he's probably freaking out right now. What are you waiting for? Go help that
He's like staring at the waves on the beach. He's
I
like,
know.
what do I do?
And
He's journaling.
She's like, I'll talk to him at prom. Like,
I'm gonna get a drink with Serena. Yeah, it's
I
that
know.
kind of thing.
It's like, oh gosh. Yeah, that's a really good point, Julie. It's kind of like, I did feel like she was doing a little bit of just like, I don't know, like stonewalling. Like she just was like, oh my gosh, you're breaking up with me. I need to just like leave the conversation. Oh my gosh, like, I don't know. So, and it's fine. Like I get it when you're getting broken up with. It's like, oh God, this hurts. Like, you know, like.
Yeah, I know when it was intercutting with her crying in the bathroom and everyone swaying on the dance floor, I was like, oh my God, like, this is so real right now.
Triggering. Like,
yeah.
But yeah, I really do think that another thing that I think you pointed out, like it was like their relationship felt very like external. Like it was like everyone was like, oh my God, you two are so cute. You two are the happiest couple. And like Abigail goes like, oh, that was the validation that I needed. And everyone thinks that we're gonna have that happy ending. Like it's like, what? Why did you need
How
validation
do you
from
feel?
these? Like exactly. It's like, how do you feel? How does Noah feel? Why do you care about what other people think about you guys? Like, and that's the thing. Like I almost feel like both of them honestly were almost just like, you know, they just, like I said, like they liked each other as people, but they didn't feel those romantic feelings, but they were just kind of like going through the motions a little bit. Like, okay, like cute boy likes me, asked me out on a date. I usually like to take things slow, but he kissed me, so I guess we're in a relationship now. Okay, we're hanging out every day. Okay, like we have fun. Okay, maybe that means we're in love. Everyone else is saying they're in love. Maybe that's what this is. Like okay, sure. You know what I mean? Like a little bit just like, like reading the playbook that other people have given them and being like, all right, I guess that's, yeah, okay, sure. Yeah, we're that. That's what we are. You know, like a little bit of like, just like trying to fit themselves into this like story, as opposed to like really paying attention to, like you said, how they actually feel and how they, you know, how Abigail herself feels, how Noah feels. Like, and that was what I think was lacking for the two of them. They were just trying so hard to almost, to fit into this like storybook narrative of like the show, that they weren't really paying attention to their real feelings about it, right? So
yes, it's like, I always feel like this, like people tell you who they are constantly, and Abigail at the beginning of the season was like, I am pretty disconnected from my emotions and it takes me a while to feel things. So like her falling in love with Noah, whatever her feelings are her feelings, and that's the truth. So it's hard for me to like speculate to how she might be, but I do think you're right. Like a lot of Noah was inching towards, you're a good on paper match. There's so much about why we should match. I maybe was excited about you before the season. I don't know how I feel about you, but you're good on paper. All of our friends like us together. We laugh. Let's just have fun. But maybe there's just not this little thing that's like, but I want to invest in you. I want to open myself up to you. And that's like the fun. I feel like that's the really fun part about dating. It's like when you really get to peel back the layers and get to know a person very intimately. She never transcended past that stage. It was all just Noah and his image and how people thought about them. And they were just kind of like living in that like weird liminal stage. And then they were forced to be like, okay, actually, we're not the perfect couple everyone thinks we are. We got to talk about it.
I feel like this is how people end up in lukewarm or like unsatisfying relationships. There's this real sense of like, if nothing is like wrong, then you should stay in it. Like you should stay in it. If nothing is like, we're not fighting, there's no like problems, like whatever, like it's nothing bad is happening in the relationship, and he's a nice guy, we have fun together, so I should be happy, right? I guess, sure, I'm happy. And it's like, well, like if you're not happy, just because nothing is like wrong with the situation doesn't mean that it's satisfying you, doesn't mean that it's like lighting you up, doesn't mean that it's the relationship that you need to be in. And a relationship doesn't need to be terrible for you to leave it, right? A relationship doesn't need to be exploding and awful and, you know, yelling, screaming, tears for you to walk out of the relationship. You don't need a reason to leave a relationship. Like I always say this, like if you want to go. Like you don't need to have a good reason to leave. And it almost felt like Abigail and Noah were like waiting to see if there was going to be a good reason to leave. And And it's like, y'all are both nice people. You're not gonna like have this big blow up thing, you know? There's not gonna be this big like, Noah was being such a jerk, and then Abigail like had to get out of that situation. Like, you guys are nice people. It's not gonna be like that. It's like, you have to just be in tune with your feelings and just understand, like, am I actually happy in this relationship? Is this lighting me up? Is this making me feel alive? Am I feeling, you know, connected and safe and warm with this person? Are we going deeper and deeper? And, you know, if it's not there, like, it's not there, you can leave. That doesn't make you a bad person. And, you know, I'm happy that they eventually figured that out, that it was time to get out. I kind of wish they had realized it earlier, just so it would be a little bit less painful. But I'm glad that they broke up, honestly. Like, this, I was never convinced by their relationship, and it feels like, you know, better now than later. So
I feel the exact same way with them. Like you said, they're both really good people. They will find their person, and closed doors will put you back on the right path. I really do believe that too. Yeah. So we'll see how it plays out next week. It seems like it's going to be really heartbreaking. So hopefully that they get to kind of like convey how much they did mean to each other as much as they can while they're kind of like untangling from this partnership that has been seen so positive by them and the people on the beach.
Those are really the two main kind of situations that we wanted to talk about. We know that there's other stuff going on the beach right now. Oh my gosh, that preview, Kendall returning. Oh my word. Like, girl, we defended you last week.
I stood up for you. I know. I was going to make a poster of you, Kendall. Like, what's the deal?
Kendall. So, you know, like, for those of you who didn't watch our video last week, we'll leave a card up above so you can watch it. You know, we still stand by what we said about Kendall and Joe, but
I
if
still
she
do
comes
too,
back,
yeah.
It's like, girl, like, you left with grace. Like, if you come back, you're gonna just blow it all up. Like, So we know there's a lot of other couples that were happening on the beach. If there's any that you want us to make sure we talk about next week, leave a comment down below. Let us know who you want us to analyze. We'll make sure to get to it. Next week is the season finale of Bachelor in Paradise, which is super exciting. It's a 3-hour episode, so we will be back here the next day recapping, analyzing it as always. And make sure you subscribe to our channel, hit that little bell button so you get notifications when we post our videos. We post these Bachelor in Paradise recaps every week, and we'll be recapping Bachelorette when it starts in October. Oh my gosh, that's so soon.
I know. Time just slow down.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Anyways, that's all for today's video. Thanks y'all. We will see you next week.